Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Into the Witching Hour. I am your hostess, the Living Dead Girl. And with me, as always, is Rob Roberts, president of the JWO.
Whoop whoop, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Whoop whoop. Our other co hosts will be joining us soon. So we'll have our killer on, and then we'll have our vice president on, Versace Stoner. So when they come on, pop on. Just got a message. Versace's resetting his phone, so hopefully that'll work and that'll get him on. So in the
Yeah.
meantime, we're gonna start off here.
Oh,
And Halloween has come and gone. And as we know, Halloween is the Wiccan New Year. Yeah, I know. We gotta wait another 365 days. Well, more than that. We gotta
well,
wait 11 months until the next Halloween. So
yeah.
there's a bright super moon happening tonight, next couple of days. We got a glimpse of it earlier when we looked outside. So
Okay.
really beautiful out.
It's huge. It's huge.
And we see it now it's dark, which got me thinking. And we're also due for a watch along. Don't forget, we haven't watched. Rob picked the next movie for the watch along because he won the trivia game, but we'll save that for a surprise for you. We know what it is, but you know what it is when we film it. So
Yeah. I'm hoping all those people that actually dig this movie actually get into it and watch it. It's a really good cult classic. I think it really is.
yes, it is.
And
So that got me to thinking with the topic of the movie we're going to be watching, the fact October passed, the fact it's the week of New
can't
Year
take it away though. Whatever.
is fact. So it got me thinking. A lot of you may or may not know this, but most of us in our group are practicing witches.
Yep.
So I always joke that we have pretty much our own little coven, and that we
It
all kind
wasn't. No,
was that.
it's not really a joke though. Sorry.
That's true. We sometimes do feel as though we draw upon each other and we do things. But that got me to thinking with everything that goes on in Hollywood, with every kind, because we have all kinds of different depictions and stuff. That got me thinking: how are witches portrayed in Hollywood, particularly in the horror genre? Like I can name off the top of my head, um, The Witches, the story by
Yeah.
Roald Dahl, and which got made into a movie called classic starring Angelica Houston, which was remade a couple years ago with Anne Hathaway as the head witch. Which, in a way, I that was my first introduction to kind of witches and witchcraft, and I honestly was not a fan of the movie.
Yeah. Is that when they turn the little kids into mice or something, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
or
I actually like that movie. I thought it was pretty cool, but it's just like it makes depiction of when they took off her face is like they're ugly and evil. No, I don't like that depiction, making them all horrid and roady and like with how they say that their little mole on their face and all that stuff.
yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that because well, actually, I shouldn't say that was my first introduction. My actual first introduction to witches was, of course, the classic TV sitcom Bewitched.
Oh, of course, yeah, obviously, there you go.
Yeah, you had Elizabeth Montgomery as Samantha Stevens, who married Darren Stevens, who's immortal, and then finds out on his wedding night that his wife is a full blown witch. So her entire family always pops in, and he gets caught up in all kinds of crazy magical adventures. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my first foray because I thought that was a witch. I thought a witch could just do that and then something happens or they chant the spell. So that's what I learned about witchcraft. I mean, Rob, what was your first introduction to like in Hollywood? What was the first witch you remember?
Um, as you mentioned, Bewitched. I remember watching it as a little kid. I got into it. I thought it was really cool. Go like that, and you're like, damn, how they oh, really? That's how it. I actually thought, you're a little kid. You're impressed. Does that really happen? Snap your fingers. Bam. There you go. I tried it. Like it never happened. I was like, shit, that doesn't happen. And it's just like it's a cool and like Hollywood kind of like makes it more. I don't know, different than back then. Hollywood magic
Yeah,
as they.
that's something I've always figured about is the fact that Hollywood has a tendency to over exaggerate what witches can really do and stuff like that. And then of course we had you know, particularly in the horror genre, witches have
Yep.
always been known to be either wicked,
Yep.
you know, baby eaters, baby sacrificers, daughters of the devil, all that kind of
Traveling around in the big naked. Well, um, never mind. But so, we sacrifice little animals to our gods and all this crap. No,
yeah, because one movie I can recall off the top of my head that I remember watching was The Wicker Man. And
I've seen.
the OG 1970s version, not that crap comedy remake with Nicolas Cage.
I did. Yeah, that one. I think I remember the original, but I remember the remake, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, well, it was implied that the entire town was witches and they were humans sacrificing this guy so that way they could get their crops to regrow, which I
Oh
thought
yeah,
was kind of strange. And then, of course, there's Rosemary's Baby.
yeah,
Again,
which we have that on DVD.
yeah, it's one of my favorite movies, but again, it portrays witches as tools of the devil because
Yeah,
as many people who know the movie sees that they want to impregnate Rosemary with the son of the devil. So
mm.
yeah. So those were kind of like a little of my
Look at
foray. Like, go ahead.
the Omen. Hello.
Yep. The Omen. That also had I think his nanny was a witch who had to come to
Yeah,
protect him, make sure that he grew up right.
right.
But it just boils down to the fact that for some reason, up until like maybe like a decade ago, maybe 2 decades ago, witches were always synonymous with devil worship. And then why do you
Yeah,
think that is?
because back when witchcraft was before witchcraft was witchcraft, it was part of Satanism, and I guess, they branched. They sometimes they didn't like some of their rules in Satanism. The whole sacrificing things and all that to please somebody. That's scripted from back way, way before the witch trials and all that stuff. And it was just like, yeah, oh my God, when you hear witches or witchcraft, you think back then devil worshipping, sacrificing little animals to your gods. No, we don't. We don't do that. They do. We don't. You know, they can have their seances and their rituals, whatever. It, it's part of every religion. Sometimes, voodoo. They go. They do sacrifice animals to their gods or goddesses or whoever, and it's just like it's Satanism. Come on now, look at the Devil's Advocate. Hello, there you go.
Oh yeah, that's
That
right. That
they
scene with the guy and
that
the goats. Yep.
so there you go.
Yep. And I also feel like pop culture does it as well too. I mean, who could forget on the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Willow began practicing it, and then by the end of the series, she was one of the world's most powerful witches. But
Yeah,
but yeah, I kind of feel like pop culture and Hollywood kind of makes it as though witchcraft is like an easy out for some people.
yeah.
Um,
Well, you just mentioned another movie, Willow. Hello, there you go. There's another witchy movie. Then they made it into like a little mini TV series, I think.
yeah, on Disney.
Which
Um,
I thought it was. I saw bits and pieces. I thought it was pretty cool. Just like how they remade the Dark Crystal, which I thought was pretty cool too.
yeah, Dark Crystal was actually a really good movie. I remember seeing that in summer camp when I was a kid. Um, but I kind of noticed that now within recent decades, witchcraft, now that it's becoming a bit of more, because it used to be if you practiced witchcraft or Wicca or other
Yeah.
pagan beliefs, you kind of kept that between yourself behind closed doors or
Yeah,
select.
just behind closed doors, just when you come out being gay or transgender or whatever sex you prefer to be, you should, oh no, can't do that.
Yeah. But
Oh,
now I think also too, as much as witchcraft can sometimes be negatively portrayed on
yeah,
media, it actually can actually help people, find that little piece of them that they weren't sure about. Like I know ever since I was a little kid that I was different. I was raised Catholic up until I was like 18 years old. And then I met a guy in the army who had Wicca written on his dog tag. And I was like, what's that? And he goes, it's witchcraft. I'm a witch. And I'm like, what? And he explained it to me. And the more he explained it to me, the more I began to realize that this is something I've been feeling for a while. And he actually went like this and touched my
yeah,
third eye. And he said, you have no idea just how much power you have inside of you. I'm like,
uh,
really? So when I came back home, I met someone and we dated for a while. He gave me a book called Witchcraft and I read it and then I was like, this is what I've been feeling. And then I read Laurie Cabot's Power of the Witch and I knew right away that that's what I was. I was a witch. I just didn't know how to, because I always had moments of like, deja vu, or I say something and then something happen, or like I'll have a guess, I'll like I have an image of something and then it comes true, you know, little things like that. And I've been practicing Wicca ever since I was 19 years old. So I truly believe that but I also believe that seeing things in pop culture kind of helped me believe in that, which of course
yeah,
leads to one of Hollywood's, I feel, better depictions of what witchcraft is like, even though they used Hollywood magic in it, The Craft.
yeah,
Craft
yeah,
came out in 1996. It's about
yeah.
four girls who find each other and they turn to witchcraft to try to get the things they want. Now, like I said, they use Hollywood magic in it, but there were some rituals in there that you could actually use with candles and pentagrams and, nature.
Yeah.
So, because that's basically what it is. And of course, it had the typical Hollywood ending, the one witch that goes rogue and blah, blah, blah. Um,
Uh,
but it was said that for that movie, they actually hired a Wiccan priest to make sure that everything was depicted correctly.
why not?
Yeah. So my question was at when I found that out, where were they before for other movies?
Yeah, like why just that one? Why not? Go further or just help out others that you thought wasn't the greatest way that you taught. Some with like some Wiccans. witches don't like Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's Hollywood, man. And I don't consider that witchcraft. I
That's
think of that
Hollywood.
more, I consider that more wizardry. So that's,
Yeah,
but it
there's a
does
whole
have
different.
witchcraft elements too to it with wands and potions
Yeah,
and
yeah,
spells. And then, of course, a very popular TV show that came out like a couple years after The Craft, Charmed.
I really didn't get into Tom.
It was one of my favorite shows, and I felt
Yeah, well, when I worked with my stepfather for my mom, he used to watch that and Supernatural. So kind of because I like Alyssa Milano from Who's the Boss. I always had a little thing for her too. But
yep,
still,
Phoebe
whatever.
Halliwell.
Yeah, it's just like it's just like Child was a really good show. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that actually did a positive thing for witches, showing that they were powerful, but also trying to, they have regular jobs, they had regular lives. But yeah, Hollywood throws it in where they're the protectors of the universe and stuff like that. And the Hollywood magic comes in, but some of the things they did, were legit, using herbs, using potions, using spells, having a book of shadows, which a lot of witches do have. Um, so it's so I feel like between those two things, and of course Willow on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, witchcraft actually and Wicca pagan practices actually started becoming more mainstream.
Well, Hocus Pocus, they go too. That just popped in my head randomly.
Yeah, it does, but unfortunately, it kind of fell back into the witches are evil Salem witch
Yeah,
hunt. So,
the witchcraft.
because
You
their
know,
main goal was to suck the souls out of all the children so they could stay young. Um,
yeah,
which, as much as I like that movie, I kind of feel like that just takes a step back to how witches are portrayed in Hollywood.
a little bit, but still, whatever. It's still a good movie.
Oh no, yeah, no, I'm not denying that. It's still one of my favorite movies. I do enjoy it.
The second one was
Well, let me ask you. I mean, like, how long have you been practicing the craft?
since I was 16.
Okay, what was the point that you thought that there was something different about you? Like, what did you
Well,
see?
I've always known, like you said, how you said you always known you were a little bit different. I've been knowing this since I was probably like 6 years old. I know I was always different. I know I was like something was with me. I can sense things sometimes. I can like when I was a kid, I used to, how you what the hell is that? We out of they call it an out of body experience.
Astral
What the hell?
projection?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I can astral project. I kind of figured I can do that since I was younger. I could see spirits when I was a little kid. Come on now, when I lived in Stoughton, my house, I lived, we lived in Stoughton was haunted.
Really?
Yeah, I guess one of my before I was little or something. I guess one of my there was an upstairs. It used to be a barn they converted into a house. So there was an upstairs loft, right? And I guess my one of my grandmothers or aunts or something, a family member, fell down the stairs and they rushed, and then I guess they broke their neck. They rushed them to the hospital and they were pronounced dead right then and
Mm.
there. So yeah, I saw spirits when I was younger. I knew there was something different about me. I knew there was something that I could sense or feel sometimes off of a person, and I was like, "What's this about?" Then when I got a little bit older, like I said, uh, I was raised Roman Catholic. My grandmother was from Sicily, like I mentioned before. And then it's just like I took my CCD classes. I took, I had confirmed confirmation and all that crap. And then it's just like after she passed away, I just like denounced the religion. I didn't think it's like if this person was that mighty and that you are made up by his image, how come we can't be immortal like him? Why they have to, why does he have to pick and choose and whatever? So I was like, there has to be something else out there that, then older, when I got older, I was like, I was totally different. I got into the goth scene and it's like, I still dress to this day. I don't care. And it's just like, I felt there was something different about me. Then when I moved to Fall River, I was like, then I got a little bit, when I was like 16, 17, I was like, a friend of mine knew that there's something that I was like, are you Wiccan? I was like, what's that? It's like called witchcraft. I was like, shit, isn't that devil worshipping? He's like, dude, you were taught so wrong. I was like, well, that's how I was taught that something like that means Satanism or it's evil. And then, no, dude, it's like you have something in you that you don't realize. I was like, here, yeah, have this. And then my first book, sorry to say, was an Economicon.
Oh, okay. Oh, you
Yeah,
mean
so
wait,
yeah, the Book of the Dead, the one that you have. Yes, that book right there. And then I got into this little group. And there's friends of mine. We were stupid. We went near the Battleship Cove out in the open water and did a spell, and it kind of relapsed on us. You know
oh,
how you say times worse? Mine came very worse, more than 3 times. It took a while to shake this off. That's when I got into my stupidity. I was working at a haunted house and all this bull crap, and I got into stupid shit. And then it's just like, then I just like, uh, and then I moved to Rhode Island. I was like, I found something different, something new. I was like, shit, I can study, but yeah, I won't be able to be judged about it. Then there's just like, shit, I might as well learn more. So I started going to libraries, going online, studying, reading library books. Sometimes I'll check them out, sometimes I won't. And I was just like, shit, this is who I am. So I started, you know, I never had put a person open up my third eye. I opened it myself. So
yeah, that's kind of like in the direction I went in because like I said, I read Lord Cabot's Power of the Witch, and then I started dabbling myself. You know, I did, I went all in. I bought candles, I bought the pentagram, I wore a pentagram around my neck. Um, I tried creating my own spells and stuff, but I kind of like you did a spell and it kind of ricocheted back on me. And I kind of noticed
yeah,
that whenever I say something a lot, sometimes I could cause really big boo-boos. Like one time I
you
wished for it to rain and I wished so hard that I accidentally caused a tornado.
know,
So it's like my problem is though is that I have a lot of power inside of me, but if I'm not careful, boom, it goes overboard. And I think a little of it left me when I had my kids because my kids also are two very powerful beings. My daughter practices it more than my son does, but she knows that she's powerful, but she also knows how to maintain it. I've grown over the years and I've known that I just have to be careful with the things I say and the things I do. And I also know
yeah,
that I never wish harm on anybody except, in extreme cases, but I also am careful not to have that come back to me times three. Now I know there are some out witches out there who do thrive on chaos. We know one in particular. So
Oh God, yeah.
yeah, and she doesn't believe in consequences. So
No, that's why we love her sometimes. All the time.
yes, we
She.
do. We do love her very much. So there are some witches like that I actually have really respect for because it's like I don't know if I can cast a spell and be afraid of consequences, but I also know that I'm not doing it because I want something to happen. It's more like I want someone to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
But getting back to like, okay, so you said Samantha Stevens was one of your first forays. Like, what about like in today's era? Like, what are some of your favorite portrayals of witches in Hollywood?
Hmm. Let's see. Hmm. Sorry, but I kind of do like Harry Potter. I know a lot of people hate it, oh, but I do like it. Like the whole one, and running.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I like the craft. Um, what else? Uh, hmm, Trying to think.
Stop if it starts to hurt.
No, stop it. Trying to. I like what's that one with Cher in it?
Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah, I like that one. That one was really cool. I like Witches of Eastwick.
I have to admit that one I actually thought was really cool too
I
because
thought
it
the craft really kind of good. You know how the
yeah,
voodoo doll and all that stuff.
yeah, it was kind of strange because it borderline on the witches being both natural witches and the fact that the three of them inadvertently brought up the devil, which I thought was kind of
Yeah,
strange.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but it also goes to show you that, you know, if you have it in you, you have the power. You can study it, and because they learned as soon as they had their abilities, the first thing they did was try to get rid of the guy. They wanted to purge the evil.
yeah.
So, like you said, they made a voodoo doll. They had it in them, and they were able to fight
Yeah.
back. Yeah, Witches of Eastwick is a really good movie. And like I said, the portrayal's not totally terrible. Could be a little better, but it's
No,
not
it's not.
terrible. So, um, but then of course there have been some pieces of media that I am not a huge fan of. Like I saw Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem, which I thought was
Uh, yeah, I was like, okay.
it once again
Um,
brought it to witches were daughters of Satan and they were trying to bring back Satan's baby and blah blah blah. Reference to the Salem witch trials and just
yeah,
it just was not.
like he was a kid of them and one of the girls and all this stuff, which is cool because I am a descendant
Are you
of a
now?
male. Yeah, I found out. Well, Luna found out. She looked up my last name. I guess he was a male and he was involved with the Salem witch trials, but he was a survivor.
Oh wow.
He survived the the trials and all that. It's probably his wife, most likely, aunt, like a aunt, my aunt or something like that. Prior,
Okay, so I
I
have to
don't know.
ask you, as a practicing Wiccan, as a practicing witch, do you feel as though men need to be represented just as much? Because if you notice, 90% of all
Yeah,
media
I was
shows
going to mention
witches
that.
being women.
Mostly all women. Yeah, I mentioned that. Most of all the nothing against the female Wiccans out there in the world. Trust me. But sometimes, yeah, I was like, I wish there were more men out there that was like, hey, I'm proud. Why can't you make a movie of it?
Because I noticed that most men are either portrayed as like either devil worshippers or voodoo priests.
Yeah, or some
Well,
sort of uh, evil power. Do I look evil to you? Hey,
well,
well,
no, I'm just
hey,
kidding.
yeah, yeah.
I know.
I'm not
No,
evil.
but what I'm saying is that, well, I mean, as a Latina myself, I kind of noticed that, you don't see too many witches of color on screen. Like,
Yeah,
you had the one person of color, but I feel like witches naturally are never portrayed as a person of color either. So
or
I'd like to see more of that myself.
yeah, or a certain ethnicity or something like that, or a certain gender. There are people out there. I'm pretty sure that are transgender that are witches.
Yeah, I would say that, anyone who wants to try and practice should. There's nothing
Yeah,
stopping you as long as you have good intentions and you're not like, evil about it.
yeah. Don't do well. I can't really say don't because hectic witch does, and I can't really say don't. But just try. If you do, just be careful. Like seriously.
Well, I think that's kind of like a double. That's why I kind of feel like witches in Hollywood are kind of like a double-edged sword because you
Uh,
see them and then you want to practice, but at the same time, you think, okay, I'm gonna grab my broom and I'm gonna fly.
that doesn't happen. That
No.
doesn't happen. You don't fly around in the broom or a vacuum cleaner or Roombas as they showed in the second Hocus Pocus movie, which I thought was pretty funny.
Oh, another portrayal that I think was a little ridiculous, but I know it worked was Sabrina the Teenage Witch. You know,
Yeah, I saw that too. I thought it was like okay.
yeah, that
It
just
was
showed
like
once
kind of a
again.
younger, like a version of like Bewitched, kinda, but she was a teenager.
Yeah, that's kind of I find it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the show was cute for what it was, but I kind of feel like that was just nothing more than the Hollywood portrayal of witchcraft, and that you can just get what you want like that.
No, 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 no,
I
it
mean,
doesn't work.
look at my virtual background. I created this background. I typed in witch's lair, and this is what I got.
I think it looks cool. It looks like a little, yeah, I like it. It looks nice.
But you kind of notice that it looks. I
Kind
mean,
of like a hobbit home, doesn't it? Like a little hobbit home.
exactly.
Why not?
I mean, but this
I
is what
thought the hobbit was cool. They did have a wizard,
yeah.
and
Again,
that is Gandalf. But they also had the description of the evil wizard, and they had a mixture of them.
I kind of noticed that the Hollywood likes to do that too. They like to portray witches as women, but wizards as men.
Oh yeah, wizards are men. No,
What do
there's
what do
female.
you think of that?
I think it's cool, but I'm pretty sure that look at one of the Elven girl, the Queen. She was like a wizard, and it's like there are female wizards out there. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I've met a few, and I'm pretty sure they like me, and I don't have no problems with them. I'm pretty sure there are men wizards, there are female wizards, there are female witches, there are well, male witches, but we're called warlocks, which is a weird description. I don't
Yeah.
like that. What a wizard is, not warlocks. Warlock sounds like it's evil. I
Well,
like
now
wizard, a witch.
more and more celebrities are starting to come out as saying that they are practicing witches
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
they do have the craft. We talk about Sully, the lead singer of Godsmack. He is a known Wiccan.
He
Uh,
actually was part of Barry Cabot's coven at first, but he didn't like their rules or their whatever, and so he left. He's a solo one. I've been
yeah,
solo for a long time. I was solo.
Yeah, and Feruza Balk, the girl played Nancy in The Craft, she actually is a practicing Wiccan. And she actually,
Yes,
I don't know if she still does, but she did used to have a Wiccan shop in Hollywood that you could
I'm
go and
pretty sure.
purchase stuff for. So, and
Dude,
I've recently discovered, and this is going to seem strange, but I've recently discovered that, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm pretty sure I've read it somewhere. WWE superstar Liv Morgan is also a practicing witch.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt there's um, WWE superstars out there that are practicing witches. They just don't want to. They want to keep it low key. I'm pretty sure there's
But
some
it
out
goes to
there.
show, and now on the US Census and on some places, actually are now starting to recognize Wicca as an actual religion.
Yeah,
Actually, the guy I told you about, the one I met in the army who had the dog tag, he told me
uh,
he actually had to fight with the Veterans Administration, to not the but the US Defense, to let them put that on his dog tag because it was his religion. Because when you join, you can only put one of three religions: Protestant, Catholic, or Jewish. You could not put anything else. And
yeah,
I guess that opened the door up because maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm wrong, and I'm pretty sure I am. But a lot of, you know, people couldn't put Wicca on their dog tag because it wasn't an actual religion. Now it's actually starting to become more and more
yeah,
practice. Churches are opening up. Places are allowing you to, be able to practice without without being bothered by it. So I find that over the past decade or so, Wicca, witchcraft, pagan rituals are now starting to become more mainstream.
yeah.
I mean, so many people write books about it, and there's so many like podcasts and stuff. And of course, I know, like me, you scroll on TikTok, and there's always like you know, if you want to cleanse your house, do this spell, or if you want to attract money, do
Yeah, we
this
see it all
spell.
the time on Facebook too. We see Wicca spells, for good luck or bless my family or my friends, and I do share them once in a while.
Yeah, so it seems like it's catching on with more and more people, and it's actually
Yeah,
becoming an actual religion. And I'm hoping that now going forward, that Hollywood will start to take this into consideration. Because let's face it, Hollywood has a tendency of taking any religion and turning it into something totally ridiculous.
yeah, mhm,
And it's always this, that, or whatever. And it's just,
yeah,
I feel like that now they're starting to realize their errors and they're trying to fix everything. So now they're actually getting consultants who practice paganism. They're getting consultants who practice witchcraft. They're getting people, even Satanism, the Church of Satan is starting to get a bit more respect now. And it's actually
yeah,
recognized as an actual church.
yeah. Speaking of being, me and were talking about that one day, some days ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, about Antoine LaVey and all
Oh, yes, the founder.
that. Yeah, like that. It's like, what was his thought process? Why, where he and is like Nina had a lot of respect for him. She really did. I respect somebody or something. You know, I respect somebody who wants to learn that. It's just I won't because I'm not like that. But that's your religion. I'm happy for you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not like that.
Do you sometimes, and this is something I'm going to say myself, but do you sometimes feel as though when you tell people you're a witch, their very first question is, you know, oh, did you cast a spell on me or something? Do you sometimes get like, or
I've
do you get
got
like
that a
funny
few
looks?
times. I got that a few times. Like, yeah, I practice Wicca. Or
Speaking of
when
which, we got another person coming into our coven right now.
listen, who is it? Who is it? Oh boy. Society!
Recipe.
His
What's up,
brother was
Dave?
like, did he get any more haunted?
Yeah.
I was watching that movie, those shows today. What is it? Tales of something. It's a 2 season series. Every horror director wrote their own story. And I was
Oh,
watching
oh, 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 oh. I know which one you're talking about. I know which one you're talking about. Oh, Tales of Horror?
something
No.
like that. And I
Yeah.
watched one today about a zombies being used to dance, and I swear one of those zombies just looked like Rob.
Love you too, brother.
I love you. I didn't say I didn't. How you
I know
doing?
that. Good. How are you? You good?
Good. Doing good.
Well, you're just coming
Good,
into the
good.
conversation as we were talking about the portrayal of witches in Hollywood and stuff. You yourself are a practicing Wiccan, and so like I asked Rob, like what was the moment that made you realize that you were a witch?
Which? Oh,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a practicing Wiccan. I've studied Wiccan. I've studied paganism. I enjoy it all. I respect it all. But when it comes to dealing with stuff, I feel like I need to go much more darker arts.
Okay.
So then I dabble into the left hand path and all of that. But I mean, I found that it was for me because there was nobody out there pushing it on me. I was able just to kind of explore. There was nobody banging on my door saying, "Join this, read this book. It'll change your life." Like, no, people like explore, find for yourself, find your inner peace.
Yeah, we were just saying that somehow it's like it's something that you don't. It's not like the Sunday mornings you got the witnesses at the door. Have you found this yet? It's something you
Okay.
find. You don't find it. It finds you. So it's definitely something that it found me, that's for sure. But I asked Rob earlier, so let me ask you, what was some of your first introductions as seeing witches in Hollywood? Like what do you remember?
Well, my first witch I saw in Hollywood was the Wicked Witch of the West. I mean,
Oh,
So me, forget
she
about
had the
her.
green skin. She was wild, man. She could do crazy things. She could ride a broomstick. I actually like the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm actually looking forward to the movie Wicked. I
Yeah,
saw the play.
me too.
Me and my wife got early premiere tickets to the show. We're going like day before it airs. We went to the play
Nice, bro.
too. Is the movie open? No. And so, but that would be my probably first. And then obviously when you start to dabble in horror, there's different witches.
do you sometimes feel like witches get a bad rap in horror movies?
Well, they do. I mean, you got the movie The Witch. I mean, it's about a lady in the woods who kills and seduces people so they can do witchcraft. That's not really
Yeah.
how it works.
Ugh, hated that movie.
I love the movie, but it's not how it works. And I don't think it should have been called The Witch. That movie should have been called The Devil. Because the imagery in that was all satanic. The goat, the rabbit. That's not witchcraft, friends. That's satanic. And there's a difference because paganism is a 5-pointed star going upward, but Satanism is a pentagram going down, and that's to represent Baphomet. That's not to represent the 5 points. So there's a difference. And I believe that movie really honed in on that. Same thing with Rosemary's Baby. They tried to include witchcraft by saying all these witches and this and the Trench Sisters. But in reality, these people were Satan worshippers. So I feel like, just like in real life, witches have been portrayed as evil when they never should have been.
Well, I asked Rob
Yeah.
this question, so I'm going to ask you: why do you think witches were always linked towards Satan? Like, why do you think that?
Why do I think what?
Well, why do you think Hollywood portrays witches as being devil worshippers?
Because 2 reasons. One, Hollywood is a Christian organization. They're Catholic Christian. Okay. And with that being said, witchcraft is considered heresy. Anything but believing in Jesus is witchcraft. And to use their power, they need to portray it as evil. I mean, if they put out, now granted, we've had good witches. I mean, look at Bewitched. She was great. Great wife, okay? Nothing wrong with her. We've had other funny witches, but when it comes to Hollywood, Halloween time, they portray it. Some old hag. Even the kids' movie Witches. It was a good movie, but they were all old hags looking scary, trying to eat children. Now, when I think of a witch, I think of somebody as more of a alternative medicine practitioner because they're using nature and earth rather than other things. They're using energy to transform stuff rather than other means. Whether how powerful you are and what you can move with your mind, I don't know, but you can still change the energy. You can walk into a room and change the energy. If you know how to sight vampire, you can suck the whole room dry. If you know how to elevate, you can get everybody happy. But there's ways of working a room, even as a wrestler or as anybody, you know how to work a crowd. That's the same thing. You work off their energy, you add more energy onto it. You can make people nervous. You can make people excited. This is a form of energy manipulation, which is a form of witchcraft.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yep.
Magic is magic, and that's what's an MAGICK. Because it ain't part of the tricks. It ain't stuff you see at a magician show. Magic can be as simple as me sitting here meditating for 5 hours and coming up with a vision.
Yeah.
That's magic right there. A lot of magic you don't see. Yes, there's spells and stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that you don't see. Like meditation is a very hidden form of magic. You can get to a higher place. You can get to a higher level. You can get to you can extend and get into the next rank of, being by meditating.
Yeah.
Now, do you sometimes, and I was asking Rob this question before you hopped on, because I know for me, whenever I tell people that I'm a witch or I practice Wicca and stuff like that, they always ask me, "Oh, are you gonna turn me into a frog?" Do you feel like Hollywood has kind of muddled everyone's view on what witchcraft really is about?
I don't.
No?
I mean, I don't know. Sorry, someone was messaging
All right.
a good friend, Joe. Seeing what you're saying. You were saying now that you think that they were portrayed right or wrong.
Well, I know that for me, when I tell people, like I said, when I tell people that I'm a witch, everyone in their head is like, "Oh, where's your pointing hat? Oh, where's your broom? Oh, are you gonna turn me into a frog if I piss you off?" Do you feel like Hollywood kind of?
Hollywood, but also, I mean, let's go before Hollywood. Let's talk about kid stories. Let's talk about Hansel and Gretel.
Uh-huh.
You got a witch in the woods baking children. That's way before Hollywood. The witch has always been portrayed as a villain.
Yep, Hansel and Gretel pushing the old lady into the oven because she
But
wanted.
and actually, that might have been my first introduction to a witch, not through Hollywood, but just through storytelling.
Yeah.
It is true.
And they weren't really witches, but if you look at some of the Disney movies, you have sorceresses. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Evil queens talking into mirrors is a witch to me. You had a witch in the movie, The Sword and the Stone.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, so even in cartoons, if you go to old Tom and Jerry cartoons and watch around Halloween time, you'll see witches.
Yep, I know exactly the cartoon you're talking about.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Yeah, so it seems like there's been all kinds of different portrayals of what witches should and shouldn't be, starting
But
from,
then
like you
there's good,
said.
but like I said, there's good stuff too, though. I mean, if you look at stuff like Charm, that went a totally different direction,
Mm-hmm.
and it went in a more positive note.
Yeah.
There was also, I mean, yes, it's a horror movie, but that one that comes out for Halloween for the kids there with the witches,
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
Yep,
They
Rob
weren't
brought that up
they
earlier.
weren't overly evil, but they were, made a little bit more friendly.
Yeah, you think?
Compared to like the witch in the movie Tales from the Dark Side, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the wraparound story. Debbie Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think now that Wicca and paganism is starting to become a natural religion, do you feel that Hollywood is now starting to branch out and see it for what it really is? Or do
I
you
think
think
they
they'll keep on going the way they're going now?
I think they're going to have to do a little bit of both. I think they're going to continue using the witch as an archetype because, well, it is a strong villain. It can be, but in the day and age, you have to respect everyone. You can't necessarily start villainizing legitimate people's religions. And so you have to be really careful on what you do and how you portray this witch. And again, I don't think witches should be used as villains. I think they should be, either some demonic practitioner or some other being. I don't really think the word witch is right because witches pertain to real life people that walk every day here that aren't summoning demons. They're not eating children. They're not doing all this crazy stuff.
No, and you're right. I really feel as though, I mean, look at, I mean, look at Rob. He's a witch, and you when you say witch, you wouldn't look at Rob and think that he is one. You look at me and think I'm one.
First of all, Rob's a warlock.
Thank you.
Just saying, if
Even
you're
though
going to use the term,
I don't like that term, but yes, I am.
the male witches are called warlock.
Even though I don't like that term.
You can become a high priest, though, as well as a
I
high
know.
priestess.
Yeah. But I could never, no.
So then let me ask you this, as I asked Rob this. Do you think there should be more portrayals of male witches, warlocks, as opposed to females? Because guys practice it too. But it seems like every time we see a witch on screen, it's always a woman.
Well, yeah, because the word witch is a woman. They're not portraying
Yeah.
warlocks.
Well, the only movie I remember seeing was the movie Warlock, but he wasn't so much a warlock as more he was the son of Satan.
Yeah. Again, something totally different. When I think of warlocks, I think of the dude that came in Charmed, the guy.
Cole.
Yeah.
He was a warlock.
I thought he was a demon.
Was he a demon? Maybe he was
Yeah, he was a demon.
a friendly demon, though, was he?
Yeah, because he was half human.
There really isn't any, honestly. I feel like they don't talk much about a warlock. When you hear the term warlock, people automatically assume they're doing evil too.
Yeah, I said that too. Sounds evil, like we're doing bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that sometimes it is a bit of a misconception when you tell people that you're a witch or a warlock, because then all of a sudden all these Hollywood images come into their head. All right, so if you had to pick, okay, so I want to start wrapping it up here, but if you had to pick to spend one day with a famous, let's go with Hollywood witch, who would you want to spend the day with? Like for me, it would have to be the Charm Sisters. And I mean the OG. Now, even though I did like the Hispanic remake, I would want to spend it with Phoebe, Paige, and Piper.
I have to say, I'm going to want to be Jack Nicholson and spend it with the Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah, we mentioned that too. That movie. Let's see. I might be old school, but Bewitched.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep, I think a lot of kids that was their first foray into witchcraft as well, is watching Bewitched. So,
Yeah.
all right, so we'll try to. I'm gonna try to figure out how to do a watch along with this thing because I know we have yet to do our next watch along, which is the one Rob picked tonight. We're not
It's
gonna
a
say what it
surprise.
is yet. You're gonna have to wait and find out what it is. Um, but it is in keeping with tonight's topic about witches in Hollywood. So it is a movie that we mentioned a couple times. So if you paid
You have
attention,
dropped these threads, so yeah, I hope you're paying attention out there.
yep. So from all of us here into the witching hour, as we say when we greet each other and leave, blessed be and merry met, and stay haunted, everybody.